Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time of day or your geolocation. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Market Movers. Together with me is Mantas, a fellow member of our research team. Hello, Mantas.
Hello, GM to the DappRadar community. Mantas, I have been in the company for 2.5 months now. And yeah, as Boris mentioned, I'm a member of the research department.
And in today's Market Movers, we're going to be discussing the evolution of NFTs, their past, present, and future. And also, we'll be highlighting some of the best use cases of that happened in the recent times. So, in order to begin, let's look at NFTs, where they started and where they're going. We all know that the NFTs started with sorry. NFT started with CryptoPunks. It's in 2017. It's one of the oldest and to this day remains one of the most influential blue chip collections. And for the longest time, well, ever since their inception, um, people kind of slept on the NFTs and nothing interesting happened until probably the early 2020s. And then we saw people slowly started buying them up. And until it all culminated in the NFT, uh, well, I don't know how to call it, but the NFT summer of 2021, where we saw many popular collections. We saw Bored Apes come on stage. We saw the slightly later in the year, we saw the creation of Azuki, and basically at that point, it got that any NFT collection that you got created, it seemed to just skyrocket and just go 10x, regardless of what everybody did. Then, near the end of the year, as we started entering crypto winter, NFT sales were still going very, very good until the collapse of Bitcoin, and thereby also it affected all the other related tokens, and specifically it also significantly affected Ethereum, which then had a cascading effect of also really hampering the floor prices of a lot of collections, even blue chip collections like Basie, Doodles, and aforementioned Azuki, CryptoPunks. A lot of them had up to 70 lost up to 75% of their floor price. Not all collections, of course, got affected equally, but some lost more than others. We saw some contingent effects. So some collections lost in absolute value. So when Ethereum lost value, and as well as the floor price also lost value, it started to recuperate as demand started picking up, and thereby had a um, how was to describe it? It had a counteracting effect that while the absolute value of Ethereum was going down, the floor prices started picking up, as something we started seeing in the past month, and we're seeing NFTs starting to have a bit of a resurgence. As far as creativity, we saw the collections go from just a simple JPEG that we've seen with CryptoPunks. Slowly, those JPEGs started evolving. People started creating very interesting collections, going on into modifiable NFTs, going on into NFTs with different backgrounds, whether it be anime, whether it be 3D anime, 3D pictures, whether it be animated pictures, and then finally, we're moving into a very new stage of NFTs as part of the revolution. We're moving into the utility NFTs. So, Mantas, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, sure. That's very correct. All what you said. So basically, all the NFT hype started in 2017 with CryptoKitties. The punks came along. So at this time, of course, as it always is, they didn't have so much attention. It was also a good time, like to invest, to look at them, and now we see where they are. actually an interesting fact regarding the history of NFT. So the first NFT was, as I saw, created in 2012, actually on like Bitcoin 2.0, which was called Colored Coins. And then the NFT afterwards that was not created on the Bitcoin blockchain was an NFT by Kevin McCoy called Quantum, and it was created on the Namecoin blockchain. So yeah, we see that NFTs didn't really started with Ethereum, right? But they started a little bit before that. But obviously, without doubt, the main attraction of NFTs and the main hype came just recently and mainly on on the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah. So the latest evolution of utility NFTs, basically, we're moving into a phase where people are not just interested in having a JPEG to put on their profile picture. We're starting to scratch the surface of what we can use NFTs for, and the recent one, probably one of the best use cases of very creative use for NFTs, is personally struck me as very interesting, was the Goda Mint Pass. Basically, as part of that NFT project. The creator, if memory serves me correctly, was Nina Abney, and she herself is a very successful modern artist, and she's been featured at the MoMA. She's been featured in many contemporary museums, and her art focuses on modern minority and disenfranchised people's struggles. Um, as well as promoting those people that have traditionally been put by the wayside on of the traditional society. And her art is very evocative. She herself tried to break into the NFT sphere and into digital art, but she realized that it's quite a steep learning curve. So, as part of her project, the idea was is that to help, because it is quite a big step up for any artist, not only in terms of recognition but also in terms of financial gain as well. So she wanted to create a symbiotic relationship between people. She understands that there's a very big demand for NFT art, not just in the sense of flipping, as in, okay, I buy an NFT, I hold it for X amount of time, I flip it, and then I have my 10 20x whatever, how much whenever it goes to the moon. But there's some people who genuinely like the Meeple's art that people, if I'm not mistaken correctly, it got bought for multiple $1 million, and people genuinely like the art. I mean, okay, uh, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Personally, that's not my taste, but I do appreciate the creative directive that he takes with his art. And there are people who genuinely like to collect interesting and newfound art. And art collecting is also a form of investment. Is been open to many people of the very affluent class. Unfortunately, most of the ordinary people are priced out of this range. But it's becoming a viable way of investing. For example, one way that blue chip collections are out of the reach of many other people, because a crypto punk costs uh, what's the floor price, like hundreds of of ETH at this point. But so people made up sharding. So you can buy a shard of a particular NFT and you own a fraction of it as you would be at a share. So this utility that stemmed from NFTs has been taken over by traditional art theme, and now you can buy shares in modern art. So the way this ties into Go the Mint Pass is that essentially they took Nina Abney took the same idea, is that for people who want to invest in NFTs, they are essentially going to, when they buy the NFT, the Golden Mint Pass, they are integrated as part of the Golda ecosystem, and they essentially can choose, or at least it's there, what they enter is a curated platform of the best upcoming NFT art, and art not just as JPEG but as a genuine art piece, which they can purchase at preferential prices. They also get the best pick, and the best art is curated for them. If you are a potential buyer and a collector of modern art, if you are a burgeoning artist, if you buy an NFT, of the government passed, you get professional promotion, coaching, and general assistance in order to promote your brand that's harmonized together with your creative process in order for you to maximize and leverage the Web3. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze in a second. Oh, apologies. I am going to sneeze at one point, but anyway, where was I? Yeah, so basically to leverage the Web3 infrastructure and to maximize your creativity and your profitability as an artist. So that was the idea, and I think that's that's revolutionary in terms of what utility can be done. Gary Vee is also a pioneer of what can be done with NFTs because he builds almost like a pyramid with all of his NFTs. Like one collection is built on top of another collection, is built on top of another collection, which then builds into a past. Like there at the beginning of this year, they had VCon, so some of his NFTs were essentially a pass or let you get a discount to some of the privileged packages to VCon, and that's where we're going. Essentially, what we're looking at the future is that NFTs are not only going to be just simplistic JPEGs or just mint passes, but Vitalik Buterin actually posted not too long ago his idea that we'll have soul-bound NFTs, which essentially act as your digital passport and they account for your presence in a particular infrastructure. So that essentially is your validator, your history, your past, and also identifies you as a person in any space, which considering that how many scams or fraudulent people they are in Web3 space, maybe it's not such a bad idea. Like, I've talked for long enough, but what do you think about this, Mantas? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, so exactly as you said, we started with the basic JPEGs, right, with the NFT token, and basically we see all these big brands like Adidas and other big companies coming into this space, and this brings in just a different layer and level of communication with your community, right? By distributing NFTs, personally and that's how the NFT community also feels. You feel kind of more attached to a brand. You have like a collectible of your brand, like the Adidas brand, right? You get some merch for your NFT that you hold. So I think we see just a completely new layer of engagement with the community, and that's also why, as you mentioned, like personas like Gary Vee, who have been very early in the space, in the social media space, and have seen this coming, are also right now building their communities on top of NFTs. And what's also important, and what you mentioned, is like what are the people actually in for in the NFT space, right? Is it the art? Is it the price? So maybe as we know, like the meme about Bitcoin, yes, I'm in for the tech with all the gold chains around the neck. So I think it's you see a mixed community, right? Of course, also from own experience and talking to people, a lot of people in the NFT space are flipping the projects, right? They know they see a hype, they buy in, and they want to sell the NFT as soon as possible for profit. But there are also genuine people in the community who want to engage with the brand. They are active in their Discord, and basically, if the floor price of an NFT goes up, yeah, that's a very nice side perk that you get with it. And yeah, basically you double one, right? You are in the community and you maybe get some profit out of it. So I think summa summarum, and also going over to the next topic, is how do we measure successful NFTs? Like is it with the floor price or is it actually with the community engagement, right? So I think you always have to look on the time frame when it goes up, or it's unsuccessful when it goes down for two, right? So that's the cheapest price that people are willing to sell their NFT. It's like you can easily manipulate that. So, for example, if we take an NFT collection which has an floor price of 1 Ethereum, right? So you can give some things to the community to say, let's delist your NFTs to a higher floor price, like 3 or 4 Ethereum, and you will get some perks or you will get some that. Or as we have seen from other projects in the NFT space, if you list your NFT below 1 Ethereum, it will get randomly burned. So they pick like I don't know, every day one NFT that will get burned that it's below the floor price. So that's something just to look out for that can be very easy manipulated because we are referring to the floor price every time. And yeah, that's just from my side how to measure successful NFT projects.
We dropped Mantas. I'm sure he's going to be here. Oh, there you go.
Beck, sorry.
No, that was quite the disappearing act. So, were you finished, or would you like to add to what you said before?
Yes, it was kind of a mic drop. Yeah, so this regarding successful NFTs, and if we look, I think it's easier maybe to say for unsuccessful NFT projects. So if you are in the NFT space, right, of course you buy into something and you think it will went well, you're believing in it, and then something like a rug pull happens, right? So a straight rug pull is the people who manage the NFT, who created the NFT, who manage the community, just go away, abandon the project, take all the royalties that they received from the sales, and basically, yeah, the project dies. Or you can have a slow rug pull, which basically means they don't do it right away after they cashed in, but slowly the communication disappears, gets slower. They don't have any vision anymore. They don't post so many updates. And that's basically also what we have seen a lot in the NFT space. And that's what kind of brings also a project down. And then you can classify it as an unsuccessful NFT project, I guess.
So, on the topic of successful, unsuccessful NFTs, we had a lot of, well, ever since NFTs became very big and, they essentially became part of the modern zeitgeist. Like, a couple of years ago, you said NFT, and people were like, "What is that?" So today, it's a very divisive topic. Sometimes, there are people who say NFTs, and people are just completely enamored with them. They're like, "Where can I get it? I want to buy them." They're complete degens. But then, there's also parts of when you go on the internet, you mention that, and people are absolutely going to conniption. So they're very divisive, and um, we know that a lot of big brands are now going into the scene. We see, a lot of video game companies that decided to take up the mantle. We saw NFTs being implemented by Ubisoft. We saw it momentarily try to be implemented by the developers of Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. They momentarily introduced NFTs, but then there was a community backlash. We saw Square Enix implement NFTs. Then again, there was a community backlash. Then they kind of snuck it in a little bit. And then one of the latest developments in such cases were GameStop, a company, if you remember, back in the early 2020s, and especially made a big splash in 2021, where a company has been shorted into oblivion, then had a rise like a phoenix, and meteoric rise actually, where it went from literally $2 to I think just short of $400 in the span of less than a month. And now, ever since they kind of recuperated, and they're trying to rebuild their image and turn around their general revenue streams. They earlier this month they opened an NFT store, which again, by some accounts, doesn't seem to be like a very hot topic. On the first day that it opened, they only managed, after spending millions in its creation and all the infrastructure, they only managed to rake in around like 44,500, which again just doesn't seem like a very viable strategy. Um, do you have any examples that you'd like to share or comment on the situation?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess there have been a lot of NFT projects around the market. It's very hard to keep an eye on all of them, but I guess focusing on those that have big brands, money behind it, or also big personalities, like you mentioned, Gary Vee, right? That cannot really afford to, I would say, rug pull or abandon an NFT project because it would like really hurt their reputation. So I think that's kind of the NFT project to look out for. It's basically when you have the money behind it, but also the reputation. That could be a positive factor when investing into an NFT or looking at two NFTs. For example, I mean, recently, Ledger, everybody knows Ledger, the hardware wallet, they announced that they will drop their utility NFTs. So basically, they will drop 10,000 Genesis passes for people who want to mint their NFT. For example, their mint price is 0.3 Ethereum. The registration for the allow list already happened. I think it was like 2 days ago. It was done through pre-mint. And basically, the perks when we're talking about utility NFTs are, in the case of Ledger, it's you get, for example, a limited edition of Black Nano X. So everybody knows the small nano, but you can hold your coins. They have big collaborations with also big brands and big personalities, and you will be preferred to access them. You will get access to new Ledger hardware and airdrops for new NFTs. So this is like not a commercial for Ledger. We are not partnering with them in any way or not receiving money, but this is just an example of a big company releasing a utility NFT and what they intend to provide, right?
So I do remember part of one of our conversations that you mentioned that uh, I think the Austrian government or the Austrian Post was also dropping an NFT.
Oh yeah, right. Thanks for reminding me. So basically, also in the NFT space, I guess we see a lot of local projects. Not only the Post, but also like a famous artist in Austria dropped some art, which was also like 10,000 pieces, but it was not really unique. So the picture was the same, and basically just every NFT had a different ID. And yeah, the floor price went down, I think, like 70%. Although when we compare it to different art pieces in the NFT market, they pretty hold up well during the bear market. So that's just an example. I mean, if you are in for, again, if you're in for the art and you like it, I guess you can go for it. If you, me personally, and that's just my personal opinion, not financial advice. When I look at these local projects, right, I'm not kind of like to invest in them because some of them are also like just, and that's again for big brands, it could be like cash grab. So an example, and I don't want to talk bad on them, it's just my personal opinion. The Austrian Post said they will release, I think, yeah, it's tomorrow, they will release 2,500 NFTs. So you will be able to buy them, you will be able to mint them, and basically what you receive is a box. And in this box, you can get 4 crypto stamps. So these are like NFTs as post stamps, right? And everybody knows post stamps are collectible, so it's maybe meant for that. I thought, yeah, okay, nice. And then if you look at the mint price, like 500 euros, I'm thinking, yeah, there are a lot of projects out there that cost the same or less, and they are really global. They have way more money behind it. They have much bigger community behind it. So I think that's the kind of signals to look out for and be cautious, as an example.
Yeah, the idea is that it seems like since we know that NFTs, especially for the creators, NFTs bring in a lot of money. Just what is considered a standard quote unquote haul for an NFT project after everything is minted. You're looking for uh, the gross earnings of around 1 million. So that's usually like the average floor price, and depending on how big, like how expensive Ethereum is, or how many assets you produce in your collection, that can of course go, of course, a lot higher. So NFTs are, a big money making machine for some, and of course, big corporations and established brands, of course, one part of that revenue stream. So we see probably like a lot of people who don't understand them, don't understand that there's other aspects to it. They just seem to throw themselves behind it. And we've seen this done in a lot of traditional gaming media, as I made examples previously, is that they don't understand the underlying utility of how it creates or how they can enrich the current gaming infrastructure. And for example, Ubisoft, when they created for one of their uh, one of their not fleshing games. It was part of the Ghost Recon franchise. I forgot the exact name of the game, but it was one of the latest installments in the franchise. A game that was already performing kind of poorly at the time, and they decided, we should spice it up a little bit as an achievement, because what Ubisoft likes doing in a lot of their games is that they create a big open world, and then you go around, you collect things, you fight different enemies, but it's just a big sandbox for you to play in. And the people who play it longer, they get some kind of achievement, they get some kind of visual cosmetic reward, and so part of that cosmetic reward was an NFT. The only biggest issue is that the amount of time and the tasks needed to be performed to earn that NFT, which was, I think, a special outfit and some kind of hat wearable for your character. People needed to spend like hundreds of hours playing the game, which to a certain point, like, it's a nice reward, but nobody is going to spend that much time, which was already not a particularly fun game in the first place. But it almost felt like a bit of a torture. It's like saying, "Hey, I'm going to reward you. Here's this cool thing, but you got to do like 100 push-ups in order for you to do it." Like, yeah, 100 push-ups is fine, but why don't you just give it to me? Like, there's probably an easier way where you can reward me with such a cool attire. And a lot of the other games as well, as I mentioned, for Heart of Chernobyl, a game that's unfortunately been put on delay due to the war in Ukraine. But in the beginning of the year, they wanted to raise some more revenue for the game, and they saw NFTs becoming a very easy way to raise capital. So they decided, okay, we're gonna sell a few NFTs, and then you can have your NFT character be put into the game, or you can define a quest to build a storyline without actually integrating it like making NFTs an integral part of the project and using it more as an easy cash trap theme. So that's one thing, and those will be examples of how NFTs are used um,
Yeah,
unsuccessfully in the sense that people are not thinking of them as integrating them organically into the existing systems, but then merely using them as a vehicle for a cheap cash grab. Whether, for example, the in recent times, the successful use of NFTs is, for example, one thing that Artifact is doing together with Nike and a lot of other fashion projects. So Artifact, they started off as essentially there were people who were from the gaming industry, and they were people who specialized in making downloadable and cosmetics content for a lot of characters. I think Rainbow Six Siege, which is also a Ubisoft game. They also made skins for Counter-Strike and Dota. And then they came together and said, you know what, since we already know how to make really cool cosmetics, why don't we make like cosmetics as NFTs? So they started making, cool shoes, um, cool wearables. They had a very successful collaboration with Takashi Murakami, which was absolutely amazing as well. And then at a certain point, they collaborated. They got bought out by Nike, and then Nike essentially hired them in order to promote NFTs as visual wearables in the metaverse, a place where you can basically customize your character. And if you're a fan of Nike, and some of the NFTs that Artifact created were absolutely personally as well. I'm not even part of the fashion infrastructure or fashion world, but I can visually appreciate the effort and the taste that went behind it. And so that's an organic integration of NFTs and adoption by major brands. And then if people understand, I think this comes from a place where a misunderstanding of what they are and how they function. And I think the more like we are going to be tripping on the way to adoption, and especially since a lot of people don't understand how to use them, especially every time a new technology gets introduced, people are afraid of it, people don't like it. I mean, even when cars came around, people said, cars are a fad, horses will be here forever. I mean, they kind of are, but you don't see people driving around in carriages every day.
exactly. Very well explained, I think. So I guess let's move over to the recap maybe and give an overview what happened so far this week and mostly yesterday, right, Boris?
Yeah.
So if we look what happened yesterday, Nickelodeon. So everybody maybe knows Nickelodeon, the TV series from the 90s. They launched their own NFT, and it was in partnership with Recure, which is basically, I would say, a company or an accelerator that helps brands who don't have their own resources and don't know a lot about, like, let's say, NFTs, metaverse, whatsoever, to launch their projects. And they have done this for Nickelodeon, I think Hello Kitty, and Paramount. So yeah, Nickelodeon launched. I kind of tried to also to get one. And I mean, if you try it yourself, you kind of get a better feeling how the platform is and everything. So how it worked is basically if you have their Recure Pass, which was around, I think, $150, and they were not depicting the prices in Ethereum, just in dollars, to make it, like I said, it's all about more accessibility for the regular people. So if you have their pass, their Recure Pass, you were able to mint a certain amount of Nickelodeon NFTs 1 hour before the public sale. And after that, the public sale comes. So everyone can register. You different to like OpenSea, you have to KYC yourself, and there is no Ethereum wallet, none of this, anything involved. You had to top up your wallet, your dollar wallet, with your credit card, and basically waiting for the mint to happen. And exactly when the mint for the public sale went live, you basically clicked on mint and you waited and hoped that you will get one Nickelodeon NFT. And in this case, it was like 40 minutes pending, so you had no clue. You don't know which blockchain they use. I had no clue what is going on. People were getting frustrated because 40 minutes, it says it's pending. After that, yeah, you get the notification, you didn't get an NFT. But one Nickelodeon NFT in this case, so the cost was $50. And yesterday they were trading, the first place in volume on OpenSea, and they were trading for 0.4 Ethereum. Summa summarum, I would say, as we talked about today already, it's about these kind of brands that are not very technical going into the space, launching their projects, and it will be interesting to see how they will use the NFT, right? So NFT is just a token. You have the image as the representation to make it more appetizing. You can leave it as a picture, but you can easily give an NFT utility. It's always just about if you have a team, the money, and something behind the community. That's what it's all about. Further, we had the Moonbird Oddities reveal. So if you know the Moonbirds, it's also a blue chip project by Ryan Carson and the Proof Collective. And basically, Moonbird Oddities were airdropped to all Moonbird holders. And so I was kind of, the sentiment that I got from Twitter was they were really there were a lot of question marks, or they were unhappy. But I think it was mainly because of the art behind it. So maybe it's also meant to be like that. So that's why they called Moonbird Oddities. I think here it's important, and what I was thinking about is the inclusivity of NFTs. Then I will talk about this in the next example. But a lot of people, and we see this with Bored Ape Yacht Club and Moonbird, all these blue chip NFTs, right? It's really hard to afford them because the floor prices are like 30 Ethereum, 90 Ethereum. And still, these derivatives, derivative collections or airdrops to a broader audience which are also much cheaper because, like I said, Moonbirds are 30 Ethereum and their Oddities, the airdrop Oddities are 1.7 Ethereum. And you still, in this case, if you have an Oddity, you still get access to the same community as the Moonbird holders have. So basically, it's about more inclusivity to have more people accessible to these projects. So like for the Bored Ape Yacht Club, they also have the Mutants, which are cheaper, and the Kennel Club, which is way more cheaper. So yeah, that's just an example for inclusivity. And the other big news that we had also this week is Minecraft is banning NFTs in their game, and basically they are one of the arguments was also that they say NFTs, they are easy hackable, they are not inclusive. The floor prices and the prices in crypto in general can fall very rapidly, and they basically don't want to do this to their players, and people don't want to bring them even into NFTs. That's kind of the whole sentiment I got around this. If for the audience, if you just Google Minecraft banning NFTs, you will get to their blog post. I think what is really interesting, and I saw this on Twitter, someone kind of hating, tell me you don't know anything about NFTs without telling me you don't know anything about NFTs. So the entrance and the first sentence of Minecraft was, an NFT is a unique, non-editable digital token that is part of a blockchain and often purchased with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. So, oh yeah, it's a unique, non-editable, rather non-fungible token that is not part really of a blockchain, right? It's on a blockchain. So part of the blockchain is like, I don't know, the consensus mechanism or something like that. And I don't know, Boris. I never bought NFTs with Bitcoin. I don't know how to buy NFTs with Bitcoin. I think mostly, like we talked, it's about Ethereum. So kind of this entrance gave me already, oh man, do I have to continue to read this? But yeah, basically, they laid out the reasons about third-party NFTs, hacks, inclusivity, and all that kind of stuff. Have you any thoughts about this?
Well, as a person who personally never played Minecraft and never understood the hype behind it, I guess it's as I mentioned previously, it's the other side of the coin. The as NFTs are very divisive. There's some people who love them and want to integrate them into everything, maybe with good intentions, but with poor implementation. There are other people who also perhaps don't understand them, but they're completely opposed to anything they don't understand. And this seems to be like for a lot of the people that have this, they just heard something that NFTs are bad because, you know, pollution, hacking, whatever it is, NFT is bad because reasons, and so they just don't want anything to do with them. I think Minecraft, in order to raise its relevance, they're essentially jumping on the bandwagon, saying, "Hey, yeah, we're also banning them because they're bad." I personally don't see how the two are connected, but hey, it's their platform. They're free to do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I just wanted to mention regarding Moonbird Oddities, always keep an eye out on our blog, right? Also, we from the research team, we write reports, we explain things, what is behind it. So just keep an eye out, and we will certainly get to this topic. Another thing that I want to mention, what happened, which was also really interesting, how Franklin, basically a personality also in the Twitter space, lost 98 Ethereum. So kind of he was selling his ENS domain on OpenSea, or he was putting it up for sale. And from his second account, as a joke, he was bidding 100 Ethereum on it, right from another account. So someone bought this NFT from him, and he forgot to cancel his bid from the other account. And the buyer who bought this NFT got it for 1.0 Ethereum. So he bought it, and he accepted the bid of Franklin and basically gave him back the NFT for 100 Ethereum. And yeah, so the community is discussing whether he's a marketing mastermind or it was just, yeah, basically a stupid mistake. He, of course, says it was a stupid mistake. He forgot to cancel his bid from the other account. And he also then created an NFT and text explaining what happened and sent it to the wallet of the buyer. Some people were also saying it might be a bot. He says no, because the NFT was fairly long on sale. So anyone who would have gone on the NFT could have gotten it and see, oh, there's 100 Ethereum bid on it. Just buy it and sell it immediately. So yeah, you see how fast it can happen in the NFT space, right? With these kind.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the story that happened with Seth Green when he lost custody of his Bored Ape, and because Bored Ape's essentially the owner of the Bored Ape has all the intellectual property rights to the ape itself and all the surrounding infrastructure that was built on it, so any patents and everything else. And yeah, he lost custody of it, and then the other guy who, because his account got hacked, Then the hacked account sold the NFT, but the person who bought it did not know that the NFT was sold in bad faith. Then Seth Green and the new customer, essentially, because he couldn't sue them because there's no existing infrastructure that again governs the whole space, so they had to come to an agreement. And I think after about another 200,000 that Seth Green had to pay on top of what he originally paid, which was also around 100,000, so like 80,000 or so dollars. Then in the end, he got his NFT back, which again goes to show that this is a space like. As with everything, when it comes to financial assets, you have to be triple, quadruple, and ever so prudent, and make sure that all your assets are under lock and key, and you have the complete custody and supervision of everything that you own. And this can be stipulated many, many times. So you have to be always very careful. And I wish I could plug something here because it's something like I should be advertising some kind of a service here. You could use this service to keep your assets safe. But no, that's just a general advice to everybody. Do keep track of all your assets and diversify your portfolio and try to be very prudent with your investments.
Exactly. That's a very good point that everyone has to remember. Ironically, regarding the story with Rankin who and selling his NFT, the NFT that was sold was called "Stop Doing Fake Bits. It's honestly lame, my guy." .eth. So kind of he was taking it as a joke, wanted to sell it because there are a lot of fake offers, scam offers, and basically either he it was a move from him, certainly I guess not, or he really forgot about the other bit. And it's really ironic about the name of the ENS domain and how he basically lost it, or basically rebuyed it and lost a lot of money. Yeah, I think wrapping it up and going a bit away from NFTs, more to the market movers. Yeah, Boris, Tesla disclosed that they sold their Bitcoin in the last quarter. What's going on there? I mean, personally, they will have their reasons, right? So you can certainly debate if it's smart to sell at a loss, I guess. Or would you just do it if you were really like on the brink of bankruptcy to get some kind of money to save yourself? What are your thoughts on this?
Again, we're going into deep speculation territory, and I think it's very hard to divine whatever Elon Musk is thinking because I think he's on a plane, on a conscious plane of his own. But my personal subjective take on all of this is I think it has to be a hedge in case the Twitter scenario doesn't pan out because he essentially has to pay money or Tesla has to have liquidity in there in order to pay off the potential liability that's going to be incurred by the suit. Again, we don't know how it's going to go. I personally am not a legal expert. I cannot give any profound advice of who has the edge in that lawsuit. But if we assume things are on parity, it can go either way. If Musk loses the case, then I think he's going to go for some heavy financial losses, he himself and the ensuing Tesla stock as well.
Yes, certainly. I think I saw the reason or how Musk argumented on this is that, yeah, basically cryptocurrencies, but I think especially he means Bitcoin here, are not environmentally ready. And of course, we had this last year, right, with Tesla buying Bitcoin, being this environmental company providing solar energy, providing electric vehicles, and buying Bitcoin, which basically, consumes with its consensus mechanism a lot of energy, and basically that's how he argumented it again, that it's not environmentally ready, friendly. Yeah, basically, I guess that's it, and we just leave it and see how it goes from here. And if you don't have anything left, I think we can open for questions, right?
Yeah, I'll be happy to take some questions. At least I've cleared everything that I want to say at this point in time. So, do we have any questions from the audience? Nope, no questions. Well, in that case, do you have any closing statements, Mantas?
No, not really closing statements from me. Was happy to talk to you all, and I think we will see each other in Pittsburgh and have a great conversation.
For mine, I'd like to, one thing I'd really like to thank you as well for coming here for the first time. It's nice to have a fellow researcher here as your debut. I also learned something new today. I did not know that the first NFT was actually purchased with Bitcoin. So apparently it does happen, all the way back in 2012, actually. But hopefully some of you have learned also something new today. As for myself, I personally think that, as with any new technology, NFTs are going to stumble, and as the majority of people out there still don't understand how to use them, what their potential is still not yet unlocked, and we're going to see a lot of poor use cases or halfway good use cases or even some unfortunate use cases, and there will be detractors who will say yes, this is bad, or this is the reason why this shouldn't exist. But as with everything, even with cars, they were first very, as a mechanical device. They were also very loud, very obnoxious. The fuel that we used, that we poured in them, had lead, which is also very toxic. But in the end, they brought a lot of good and potential. And to this day, you cannot imagine somebody without a car. It's a staple of our everyday life. And I think personally, I'm very bullish on cryptocurrencies, and I'm very bullish on this whole movement of technology and decentralization, because I think it's very important to empower the individual. And once we crack the code, so to speak, I think in years ahead, uh, NFTs will be used in our daily lives for one reason or another, whether it's your personal passport, verifying your train ticket, or whatnot. And I think that's the future that we're all going to, as the metaverse has also become part of our daily lives. So with that said, I'd like to thank everybody for coming to this week's Market Movies. I'd like to thank Mantas for coming in, and I wish everybody a very happy rest of the morning, day, or evening, wherever you are. I wish you all the best and have a great day.